Let me knock this out first on this rumor started by one Dutch Mantel on his Twitter account last week that he heard from a source in Stamford, Connecticut, that a deal is being negotiated for WWE to sell the company and to sell the WWE network to ESPN and Fox, and that it could happen as early as this month. He framed this as big news, huge news, as if he were breaking some kind of big news story. The reality is, I'm not taking this seriously at all because it doesn't appear that there's any real smoke to the fire here. Now, I think Vince McMahon is open to the idea, and I think he's even said this before, that he's open to the idea of selling. They're always listening to offers. They would be stupid not to. And I believe Vince McMahon is open to the idea of one day selling if he thinks that the offer is right. But he can't even sell his pay-per-views off the network to a streaming service, which he said, now this is before the pandemic really hit, on one of the last conference calls, he thought that was a deal that would be all wrapped up before WrestleMania. And not only did they not reach a deal with an Amazon or a Netflix or a Hulu or a Peacock or any of these streaming services, any deal sounds like it's dead, or at least on pause for the time being. And you honestly believe that ESPN or Fox is going to spend, what would they have to spend to make it worth Vince McMahon's while? Huh? I know when the stock was down last week or the week before, the market cap or whatever, the valuation of the company was down to like $2 billion, $3 billion. It had been as high as over $7 billion. What do you think it would take to get Vince McMahon to sell WWE? $4, $5, $6 billion to buy WWE? You really think ESPN and or Fox is going to spend $5, $6, $7 billion to buy WWE in the middle of a pandemic? When everybody is losing money, everybody is cutting costs, everybody is slashing their workforce or some more than others. There's no way. There is no way I don't buy it. Apparently, Dutch doesn't buy it either, because his very next reply to somebody on Twitter was admitting that he finds it all very doubtful. So he puts it out there, and of course people ran with it as news, and then like a few seconds later, they don't mention this, but he's tweeting people saying, yeah, I know, it's kind of doubtful. That would be like me going on Twitter. I mean, I know Dutch Mantel is, he probably does keep in touch with people in Stamford, and he has been in the wrestling business. I get that. But he's not in WWE right now. I don't know who he got this information from, but it's like somebody just going on Twitter and saying, oh, I heard that WWE is looking to sell. I heard that, I heard through the grapevine that they're going to sell to Disney, or they're going to sell to Papa John. Who knows? Whatever. I don't think there's anything to this at all. Now, would ESPN and Fox be buying it together? I'm not even sure what he means by that. ESPN and Fox going to buy WWE together, or buying pieces of the company at the same time? ESPN takes the network, Fox takes the company. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think about. This report does not even make sense. Could WWE one day be sold? Yes. Is it being sold this month? Is it going to be sold even this year? No. And it's the sort of thing, as a publicly traded company, that would not happen in the dark of night. This would not kind of come up from behind people and sneak up on them. This is the kind of deal that you would hear about. There would be rumors about it. There would be news about it. There would be talk about it from more than just Dutch Mantel's Twitter. So believe me, if there were to ever be smoke to a story like this, you will be hearing it from more than just Zeb Coulter. Now, this week also brought the news from Florida. I should have some weekly Florida update. This week's Florida Man Update is sponsored by Manscaped. No, I'm kidding. But no, this week brought news from Florida that a lot of people who don't know how to read took out of context. Boy, there's a lot of people out there who just don't know how to read. It's kind of scary. That's why audiobooks are so perfect. On some websites, though, and to be fair to the people who even can't read, some of these websites did them no favors, because you had some of these less reputable websites that just took something that was not exactly fully accurate and they ran with it, and they ran with certain headlines that were very misleading. I saw headlines suggesting that the state of Florida would be allowing some fans back into sporting events, possibly as early as this week. That is not true. That is not happening. Not for WWE, it's not. The governor of Florida did issue an executive order that takes effect tomorrow. That executive order has nothing to do with any of this. That executive order said nothing of sporting events. It said nothing of wrestling events. The confusion stems from the fact that his Reopen Florida Task Force, that's the name of it, it's called the Reopen Florida Task Force, made a suggestion. They made a recommendation that in the state of Florida, large spectator sporting events should use strict social distancing guidelines and limit occupancy of venues to 25% of building capacity. So that was a task force recommendation. That was not anything that the governor announced. Now, he could wind up allowing it in the future based upon that recommendation, but he has not yet done so. I don't think we see 25% occupancy at WWE shows or AEW shows until the summer. I think they're itching to get people back into those buildings. I think it is going to end up happening. But this month seems very unlikely. Nor does it seem wise. You know, each state is going to make its own decision on when and how to start reopening. I saw the governor of Mississippi was slowly reopening the state. He was one of these governors that said, we got to start reopening, and they started the process of reopening certain businesses, and now he's pulling back. He's having second thoughts because they just had their largest spike in new cases. It certainly doesn't seem like we're on the back end of this thing yet. You got to be cautious. Exercise caution. You know, you can say that there are certain businesses and things, people got to get back to work and different industries and such, but think of things in terms of allowing people into sporting events on the scale or hierarchy of what's most important here right now. I would not put that near the top of the list. Could I see a scenario in the state of Florida? Could I see a scenario where we see fans in the performance center, or they see fans being allowed back into Full Sail? Maybe sometime this summer, July, August. Yeah, I could see that. I'm not saying whether it's wise or not. I'm just saying, yeah, I could see that. I could see them pushing to have that happen. I could see WWE looking to SummerSlam as a big goal. You know, SummerSlam's like a good target. We're going to try to be back, try to get some people into the building for a big SummerSlam show in August. Whether that's in Boston or whether they move it out of Boston to Florida or some other state, I could see SummerSlam being a real goal that WWE is looking at and saying, okay, by August, by that SummerSlam show, we would like to have people, even if only 25% capacity, back into the building. Sounds very ambitious to me, but I could see that being a goal of theirs. Ring of Honor canceled all of its live events for the month of June, including their Best in the World pay-per-view in Baltimore on June 19th. They put out a press release that said, maintaining the commitment to making the health and safety of our fans and personnel the top priority during the crisis, Ring of Honor has canceled all live events that had been scheduled for June. They had an event scheduled in Dallas on June 5th and San Antonio on June 6th. Those are canceled as well. And The Undertaker documentary series, Undertaker: The Last Ride. Remember they ran that trailer at WrestleMania? Everybody was getting all excited. Looks like a fantastic series. I can't wait to watch it. Now we have a premiere date for episode 1 on the WWE Network. It will drop next Sunday, May 10th, after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But I know you guys are going to watch me live on YouTube and then watch this on demand, right? Right? You better. You better not pick Undertaker over me. Undertaker will be there waiting for you when you're done listening to me. You got to join me on YouTube. We got to talk about this Money in the Bank pay-per-view, starting from the ground level, going up to the roof. Anyway, the first episode is titled Chapter 1, The Greatest Fear. This is the description. Get a rare and revealing look at Mark Calloway, the man behind The Undertaker, as he prepares for the final match of his storied WWE career against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33. Final match, you say? Apparently, The Undertaker thought it was his final match too, just like the rest of us did. Vince McMahon had other ideas. So anyway, that debuts next Sunday. I'm looking forward to watching that after I go live on YouTube for my Money in the Bank recap.